What's up, everyone? What's up? Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the stream. So, please excuse me. I'm trying something different. I'm trying something new. As you can see, restream. You know, I'm trying to see how that works. I've been, I tried. I've been using OBS most of the time, but sometimes it's a bit iffy with me. Right? It's a bit iffy with me. It doesn't stream as smoothly as I wanted sometimes. Other times I try StreamYard, but StreamYard it won't stream to multiple multiple places. So I'm trying Restream right now for free. It only allows me to stream to two different places, right? My main channel, Devil's Advocate, and my other channel, Devil's Avocado, right? So let's see how it goes, right? Hopefully, please excuse me, right? I'm still getting used to it. I'm still trying to get the hang of things. So if things aren't going as smoothly, that's probably why. That's probably why. But yes, please excuse anything kind of weird or different. Still trying to get the hang of it. Hopefully it goes smoothly. So, as you could see by the thumbnail, I recently watched a little bit, right? I watched a little bit of Ask a Brother, Ask a Brother's opinion on Charlie Kirk. So I want to fully watch it today and have, if I have any critiques about it, think what's my opinions on it, right? And I say this, right? Ask a Brother. I respect the guy madly because he's more intelligent than me. I'm not gonna say anything because I know he's much more intelligent than me, right? When he came about, he was talking about some amazing things when it comes to men and women dynamics. But he did a video recently talking about race, the things Charlie Kirk talked about when it comes to race. And I have some opinions on it, right? I have some opinions on it. So I'm definitely going to voice them, right? I'm going to watch it, critique it, give opinions on it, break it down, give a reaction to it. But this is the thing where I'm going to tonight probably be all about race, right? It's going to be most likely all about race. But here's the thing where I do that sometimes. I do that from time to time because race is an important thing for me. It is an important thing. I'm, as a minority, but specifically as someone who has predominantly dated Black women, mostly Black friends, work in, live in, and interact with mostly Black people. Right? I lived in the Black community most of my life. I lived in the Black community most of my life. Yo, Laughing Man, what's up, my brother? Broken Berlin. Thank you. I have to sub for that name. Thank you. Big Bards, what's up, my brother? I love you. I love you guys. You guys are amazing. All right. I love you guys. Yeah. So, race is an important thing for me. So I have very, very big opinions, right? Very controversial opinions when it comes to race. And I'll say this, everyone who finds my viewpoints very, very controversial always calls me racist. It is what it is, right? It is what it is. I'll take that title, even though I don't believe it. But if I'll take that title if you just can't stand my opinions, right? But at the root of it, my heart, I care for the Black community. I love the Black community. I've said this before. I always thought that the black community is the coolest community around, right? They're the coolest community around. So it saddens me that in this day and age that they are suffering or at they are at the bottom of whatever, right? The economic totem pole, there's at the bottom of very many topics and issues. So, and it's always, well, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that. But if you are triggered when it comes to race, all right, so be forewarned. I'll probably say or show things that you know may easily trigger you. If you find an Asian guy talking about racism when it deals with black people as triggering, well, this is my warning, right? This is my warning. Now, if you have any if you ever have any disagreements, I'm always willing to chat, right? I'm always willing to chat. I'm always willing to debate and have a civil conversation. So, that is something, right? I'm always down for it. So, um all right. Before we get started, I want to I want to show off two videos that really resonated with me, right? Two videos that resonated with me a lot. So, and it pretty much explains my viewpoint, right? It explains my viewpoint and where I'm going about it when it comes to race. When it comes to race, this is essentially my viewpoint, right? Essentially why I think the way I think. So let's check that out. Let's check this out. Now, the two videos, right? The two TikTok videos are in the description down below, right? If you want to go back to the original creators, check them out, right? So, yeah, let's check this out.
The interesting thing is, a lot of you don't argue with me. You're arguing at the fact that I refuse to drag my ancestors' chains into my life. That was the point of them surviving, so we didn't have to make surviving our only skill. The problem with a lot of characters in this generation is that you confuse history with destiny. And if we don't play to your performance of pain, you label us a sellout because independence scares you. But a lot of us are tired of this ghetto black slave narrative being recycled like it's the only story we're allowed to tell. As if resilience, brilliance, and creation never existed alongside the suffering. It did. But let me give you perspective. Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Marcus Garvey. Knowledge makes a man unfit to be a slave. Frederick Douglass. There can be no independence without a large share of self-dependence, and this virtue cannot be bestowed. It must be developed from within. Oh yeah, that was Frederick Douglass. But they only magnify his suffering. They never glorify his solution. But that's because suffering is easy to market and solutions require responsibility. So this bonnet wearing, twerking, jobless, restless, directionless, purposeless generation of lost souls who want to use their ancestors' struggles as an excuse. Just remember, your ancestors didn't survive hell, so you can glamorize it as a culture. The interesting thing is,
I love that. I love that. And it essentially it is my views, right? Where where we are not glorifying, we are not pushing out victimhood. Okay? It, it doesn't produce anything. It doesn't help anybody. You're the victim of the system. You are the victim of your situation. You are the victim of your life. You are the victim of the white man. It doesn't help anybody. So I love what this man said. This man, right? Out of this man's mouth, mad sense. If it was said by a man of another race, I believe it would be think as racist. So you gotta think about that, the insanity of that. You gotta think about the craziness of that. This woman said some really good things, so I definitely want to check it out.
anybody, especially black people,
that are saying Charlie Kirk was racist and was not for black people and did not know black people, I am 100% convinced that you have never sat through a full debate of his or watched any of his debates with a sound understanding. Black people are always so quick to want to be the victim of a situation that they can't thrive. And this is one of the things that Charlie Kirk was exposing to black people. We have such a cap on us because we think we're limited because we're black or because we're women and because we think our ancestors, whatever they went through, is still impacting us today, but we are not there anymore. Charlie Kirk wasn't saying that we didn't need or black problems didn't matter. He was saying, hey, you're not a slave anymore, and there are no more laws that are holding you back, saying that you can't do what a white person can do. You should get up and go and try these methods and become somebody. One thing we got to understand is life is hard. And we don't need handouts. Handouts is making people weak and sensitive. That's why this man was just killed over mere opinions, having an opinion. This man passed out. Yeah, like he wasn't resisting. Like he was just being a good law-abiding citizen and was just taken out senselessly like we do each other. That wasn't the
Was there no sound?
yeah, like he wasn't resisting.
Huh. Oh, okay.
Case. So when they're pointing out this stuff, y'all don't like nobody telling y'all the truth. Black people don't want to hear the truth because we benefit off of not working and being lazy off of government assistance and stuff. One thing Charlie Kirk also
Was there no sound? Let's see.
I disagree with. And I just hate that we are a people.
Now, I just want this woman to be heard because she said some amazing shit, right? I want this woman to be heard because she said some amazing stuff.
Be controlled by the word racism, that just one little clip misrepresenting what somebody said is all we need to throw somebody under the bus. We got to think about this. Who are the kind of people, and not to imagine, this was a white on white crime. And whenever these type of people get involved, that means there is some power being seeped out somewhere to the masses that the people in control don't want the power to be with. And this is what he was doing. He was showing a lot of people that are blind and programmed by the system to wake up and get out the matrix. And this was the problem. Telling black people you don't need government assistance because you can be somebody is not racist. telling us that government assistance has hindered us because before we were on government assistance, we were more successful people. It is not racist by reading and understanding the facts. Ever since we started getting subsidized by the government, we have been controlled by the government, and not in only what we can do, but how we think. And this is a person who challenges you to think for yourself. The things he said.
Let me try something again. This is like new. I'm trying something new. No.
About George Floyd, y'all act like because an officer killed George Floyd, that made him a saint, like he wasn't a criminal, like he wasn't on drugs. That's what caused him to be suffocated and pass out. Y'all like he wasn't resisting, like he was just being a good law-abiding citizen and was just taken out senselessly like we do each other. That wasn't the case. So when they're pointing out this stuff, y'all don't like nobody telling y'all the truth. Black people don't want to hear the truth because we benefit off of not working and being lazy off of government assistance and stuff. One thing Charlie Kirk also said was that the black people want to become better, we're going to have to stop celebrating crime and murder. Our culture is destruction. Our culture is destruction. And it ain't nothing we can do or say to change that. Everything we have from the women in our idolization groups, Beyonce, Summer Walker, SZA, Cardi B, Sexy Red, all of them are horrible examples of how to be as a woman. The same thing with the NBA young boy, Lil Baby, Dub Baby, Lil Wayne, Baby, P. Diddy. All of those are examples of how to be a terrible person. And what he is saying is get these examples from in front of you and your kids so that y'all can thrive. Also, let's work on building the family back. One of the things that destroyed the family was removing the father out the home. Put that back together so we can start becoming a good community. But we don't like being told nothing. We don't like being told how to better ourselves because we want to be victims so bad. We want to be at the bottom of somebody's pity party so bad that we'll take anything we can to disregard or dismiss any ethical or sound doctrine to help better ourselves so that we can steady dwell on a past that no longer affects us and that we can overcome and have the ability to become somebody. My last point is I always tell my daughter, because I made her read about Madam C.J. Walker, a self-made black woman millionaire during a time way worse than today. So everybody with all these excuses of why you can't be successful because you black or a woman, odds have always been being defeated since the beginning of time. Stop teaching your kids and capping your kids at you black or you a woman so there's stripes against you. Stop teaching that to your kids and let them know you're going to have to work hard for whatever you want. Be resourceful and go for what it is that your goal is. But we keep teaching each other that, oh, it's hard because we black. I've been a victim of that mentality too. And that keeps you in a slave mentality. It keeps you from going to strive. If you are conditioning people and making people believe that I automatically am going to lose or fail, or it's going to be even harder for me just because I'm black, most people are not going to even get up and put their best foot forward. So when you tell people, hey, wake up, you don't have to be like this and you can be better, that's making you get uncomfortable because now it's time for you to work and become somebody instead of dwelling in your comfort of nothingness. And everybody is taking this man and all these clips and misrepresenting him, all for the simple fact that people don't want to do better, that people hate knowledge. The Bible says in Proverbs chapter 1, 22 through 24, when will you fools stop hating knowledge? Fools hate knowledge. And that's all this man was giving out is knowledge. And if anybody saw fit that this man should be executed in front of his white kids and thousands of people just because he was giving out knowledge, It's absolutely insane. And if anybody thought this was okay or warranted, it's absolutely insane. And we got to pray about your heart. And I pray over this country in the name of Jesus, Lord, that you begin to touch the hearts of the people here in this world, Lord. Their hearts are growing cold. They're beginning to love murder and death. They're beginning to love to see people suffering, good people suffering. And I'm just asking, Heavenly Father, in the name of Jesus, that you come down here and you rest your soul on us and you open and soften the hearts of the people of the world who are constantly in rejection to you or the truth of any kind. We speak the truth and declare the truth.
Amazing things. She said amazing things. I put the link in the description down below for these two creators. These two creators, okay? This is my thing, right? This is my stance. I don't. Huh, whatever. Excuse me. I'm still trying to learn this program, right? I'm using Restream, right? Restream. So it's still new to me. I'm still figuring things out. This is my stance, right? I've said this before. This is my stance on the black community, and I've said this. Oh, I don't want to say this, right? Oh, Whiskey, what's up, my brother? Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for stopping by. This is a thing where a lot of people think that I'm racist because me being controversial when it comes to race topics. It is what it is. But I've said this before, where I love the black community. Um, I think very highly of black people. Okay, I have a lot of Big Bars is an amazing man, right? The Big Bars. I have black friends, black best friends. I've dated mainly black women. Um, I care about the black community. I care about the black community. So, but one of the things that I feel like is a detriment to the black community is the mindset where it's the victimhood mindset. It's the white man is the boogeyman. The white man is the excuse. The white man is the fault why I'm not succeeding, why I'm failing, why I can't make money, why I can't this, why I can't that. That solves nothing. That solves nothing. Blaming other people, it does nothing. It doesn't solve your issues. It doesn't solve your issues. It just gives you excuses, right? Excuses that, okay, taking away accountability, right? It's not my fault that I can't save, budget, invest, work hard, work smart. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. It's the white man's fault. It's the white man's fault. So, I blame the white man. I blame the white man. I blame the system. I blame the government. I blame everything else but myself. That does not solve anything. That solves nothing. Okay? Great. You blame the white man. You blame everyone else. Now what? Now what? Just continue. Continue living in mediocrity. Continue living in your victimhood. That doesn't solve the problem. That doesn't improve your life. That doesn't improve the community. So, I may be critical. I may say some shit that people don't like, but it's because I want changes. I want the black community to be better. You gotta think, right? It is funny that you know the three main races that that started or made up America is Native Americans, whites, and blacks. Why is the black community at the bottom of the totem pole? Okay. Well, listen to you say you people would say racism, all this stuff, but you have to think Asians are at the top of the totem pole economically. Asians of all different races, right? Filipinos, Cambodians, all these Japanese, Koreans, they're actually at the top of the family economic totem pole, while black Americans are at the bottom. It shouldn't be like that, right? It shouldn't be like that because they should be doing well. and you wonder why. You got to wonder why. So we'll be talking about it. We'll have some videos. You know, because one of the main video I want to talk about, right, is an amazing man. Victims are food. Change to their culture has to come from inside. Exactly. Exactly. So, so a video I want to talk about is this one. I want to check it out. Right. I want to check it out. I haven't seen. I've seen a little. I've seen a bit of it. So, but I wanted to watch it on stream with you guys. I will say this, right? I love this man. This man, at least the amount I've seen of Ask a Brother, right? Ask a Brother, amazing stuff. Particularly when it comes to men and women dynamics. But this is a video he made about, let's be honest, about Charlie Kirk. So he will be talking about race in this one. And I have some opposing views. So let's try it out. Let's check it out, right? Let's react to it. Whiskey, my brother. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the love. You are amazing. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing where black people are amazing. I will not stop saying that. I think the black community is uh the coolest community around. I really do. They are amazing people, but I just think that they are their own worst enemy. Maybe I'm a bit biased. Exactly. And you know what? I will say this, right? I view all you guys, all the guys in the chat, right? All the people in the chat, exactly. You guys are my brothers from another mother. I love you guys. I mean it, right? I love you guys. You guys are um you guys make this an amazing journey, right? You guys make this an amazing journey. So I can never say how much I care and love you guys, right? So please know that. So let's check this out, right? Again, I want to say this. Ask a brother, he is 10 times smarter than me. 10 times smarter than me. So I would never disrespect this man. I wouldn't disrespect this man because I mean, so far, right, from the amount I've seen of him, I love his stuff. I love his work. And he is flying, right? He's raising in popularity. So I hope this man does well. But I have some critiques on this video. So let's check this one out.
About Charlie. Woe to those that call evil good and good evil. Isaiah 5:20. Conservative, evangelical, activist, commentator, and co-founder of Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk was fatally shot on Wednesday, September 10th, at Utah Valley University. Although many undoubtedly and naturally will focus on the shooting, their potential political affiliation, motivations of the shooter, well, I decided I would reflect on the man and discuss my initial thoughts, having observed the reactions on social media, as well as his legacy. He leaves behind a wife and two kids. Initial response. Response number one, the cheering. Southern trees bear strange fruit, blood on the leaves and blood at the root. Black bodies swinging in the southern breeze. Strange fruit hanging from the poplar trees. That was from the song Strange Fruit, recorded originally, I believe, in 1939 by Billie Holiday. And that song captured a very, very ugly period in U.S. history, the Jim Crow era, where there would be photos that we all could see, and some of us even grew up watching and seeing, where black men, or more so their bodies, were hanging, and there were white faces surrounding their bodies.
Again, I want to preface this, right? I love this. I mean, I wouldn't say I love this man, but I respect this man, right? I respect this man. So everything I would say is utmost respect, right? Utmost respect for this man. I don't. I'm not trying to target him in any way. Okay, so this is my thoughts on things he said. I think it's disingenuous to talk about a man's death and then bring it to something else, right? To shift the focus to let's say, I don't know, spotlight to the struggles of, let's say, past, right? The struggles of the past. I think it's disingenuous. I think it's really, in my opinion, again, I would say this again, utmost respect, but I think it's disrespectful to the man who just passed, right, Charlie Kirk, to use his death and put a spotlight on Black history. That's my opinion.
Adults, wives, husbands, kids.
I get it, laughing man. I'll say this, right? I understand that, sometimes it's nice to. I usually talk about men and women dynamics. Right? I usually talk about men and women dynamics, but sometimes I want to shed light on other things, right? As a minority myself, and like I said, I've been around I live in the Black community. I've been around Black people. I've dated mainly Black women, mainly have Black friends. Race is a big issue. Particularly nowadays. So it is an issue that I focus on sometimes. Plus, here's my thing, right? Why would I focus on women yet also focus on race? Because it's kind of a correlation, in my opinion, right? So one of the things I hate, or I talk a lot about when it comes to women, is a lack of accountability. Right? We always say, right, women versus accountability. So I always talk about that, right? Lack of accountability and hypocrisies and victimhood. Okay, that's the things. Those are things I hate when it comes to women, in a sense, right? Those are the topics I like to point out. Right? Lack of accountability, hypocrisies, delusions, and victimhood. Now, people may call me whatever names, racist, or all this shit, right? But I believe modern day, the Black community, they exemplify that, right? Lack of accountability, some hypocrisies, and the victimhood mindset. So that is why I talk about it and I bring it up, because I find some correlations to it. But again, I talk about it in not a way that, I hate women. Same thing. I'm not talking about, I hate Black people. I don't. I do not hate Black people. I think, like I said, I think they're the coolest people around. I think the Black community is the coolest community around. I just think that these mindset, right? The lack of accountability, the hypocrisies, and the victimhood is hurting the Black community. Just like it's hurting women. So that is why I talk about race. So I get it that it's not like, it's not your niche. It's not a topic that you talk about, but it's something that it talks to me too sometimes.
It was like a spectacle. I always wonder when I think about those photos whenever I see them, what was going through the mind of those people who laughed, who cheered, and even brought their children out to watch for entertainment. And then I look at today, and I think about the fact that I've seen the countless comments, remarks, jokes, general glee and happiness of those that found out the news that Charlie Kirk was here no more. For those of us who are the descendants of Jim Crow, specifically, who are the most excited and most happy about the death of this individual, what has become of us that we are anything like those in those photos, who we would have considered to be nothing more than animals, who lost their humanity? Maybe in seeing some of the reactions and responses in our group texts, in our social media feeds, maybe we've even posted or shared ourselves, maybe we aren't as different or evolved as we thought ourselves to be. And have we become the very thing that we hate? What is different in the heart of one that cares not for the life lost of their rival versus those that care not for the life of children born in the wrong place at the wrong time?
I understand why he brought it up. So I get it. I get it.
In the end, is the outcome.
Jennifer Andrews, thank you. Thank you for stopping by.
Of each part's disposition not the same? Response number 2. Charlie Kirk had a legacy that was filled with many, many different things, some of which were quite positive, being a father, a dutiful husband, a provider, and a push towards traditional masculinity in an environment that, seeks to almost discourage men from wanting to become either of those things anymore. But there was also a second side to his public persona and legacy: the dog whistling, the racial undertones, and at times even the outright hatred and bigotry. Some of the clearest examples of where this was most displayed was in areas like abortion, the Black community, and even his views about Arabs, Muslims, and Palestinians.
Let me say this, right? His views on abortion, so what, right? Everyone has views on abortions. I don't think that's bigotry, in my opinion. His views on race, I think a lot of people did not understand it, or they were triggered way too easily by it. The Middle East stuff, I don't give a shit, right? I don't care. I don't care. I always believe America first, right? America first. So, my thing is like, I don't care about that.
It seemed like Charlie somewhat went out of his way to demand a pardon for the officer that had his knee on the back of George Floyd's neck. Obviously, he's speaking more so to the drug overdose and a lack of seemingly care that this individual had someone like that in that type of compromised position. That wasn't really as big of a deal.
This is a thing where I find this is the problem, right? Whiskey, thank you. I find this was the problem where we were talking about this. Why do the Black community glorify the criminals of their community? This wasn't a morally sound citizen This wasn't a morally sound citizen. Now, yes, it was a compromised situation or position, the knee on the neck. I agree. But again, he didn't die because of the knee on the neck. He died because of a drug overdose that he was already experiencing before the knee on the neck. Okay? But this is the problem where we have the black community so fixated on, they negate the criminality of certain people and just focus on their race. That's it. He's black. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit if he's a terrible man. He's black, right? He's black and he died under police custody. That's it. That's all I care. Don't matter he's a drug dealer. Don't matter he's a druggie. Don't matter he was really a terrible man, right? Don't matter. All that matters was his skin tone. That's it. Not the essence of his characters, his morality. No, just because of his skin tone. Because here's the thing: where's this kind of love? Where's this kind of viewpoint when, let's say, white people die under, by cops? Because I'm not like the biggest supporter of police, because I always believe that police is like, we need an overhaul, right? Overhaul on the police system. We do, okay? But again, it's not. I believe it's not just because it's a black person. We need to really forget everything else. And I think that was Charlie Kirk's thing, right? Where he was focused on this man that happened to die under police custody. Well, he was a criminal. He wasn't a good man.
His stance on abortion is debatable, in the sense of why so many people had concerns about his far-right perspective on being quote-unquote pro-life. And his stance being one in which he was even asked flat out, it seems like you're against all exceptions. Does this include if you had a 10-year-old daughter? Would you still expect her to deliver that baby if she was raped or molested? I'll give him credit. He stuck to his guns and said even then. He said that abortion was prohibited in all circumstances, including rape and incest. And that rape doesn't make abortion acceptable. When it came to race, he had a variety of very interesting coded language to describe the black community specifically. I vividly remember in the early days and discussions of DEI as it related to pilots. And he said, if I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, I hope he's qualified. That was obviously in keeping with the belief that what was not stated was that he would not feel the same if he saw a white pilot.
No, what is not stated is the context. Charlie Kirk, when said that quote, right? If he saw a black pilot, he would question if that black pilot was qualified. The context was in the sense of DEI, where he has a problem with the status quo, where we are not hiring people purely based on merit. We are hiring people based on skin color. We are hiring people based on gender. We are hiring people based on sexual orientation. Not on how good, how amazing you are at the job. So the context, right, is that because certain programs, certain career industry, right, the airline, where they had a quota, they had to do a quota of about 40%, 40 to 50%. You have to either have people of color or women and so on and so on, about 40 to 50%. So if you have to, right, have people, if you have to do a quota, right, a checklist, you have to make that checklist happen. There's a high likelihood that you will relax standards or ignore certain things. That's the context. He's not, Charlie Kirk didn't say, oh, you know what? I think black people don't qualify for being a pilot, or I don't think all black pilots are unqualified. No, he's saying because of these programs, you are negating merit. You are negating ability because you put the focus on skin color. That's the thing. That's the context. And this is why I said this, right? I madly respect this man. I madly respect this man, but when this video talks about race, I'm sorry. You are wrong, right? Particularly, right? I'm not even saying he's wrong about his viewpoints. I'm saying he's wrong when he dissect this dead man's, right, point of view. You are wrong. You are wrong. That's it. Because you are not interpreting or even listening to his views correctly. You, again, I respect this man, but you, like many other triggered black people, when just hearing race, all you hear is just negativity, right? All you hear is like, oh, you're racist. That's it. That's all I want to hear, right? You say something about a black person, you're racist. That's it. Doesn't matter whatever else they say. And that is the problem. That is the victimhood mentality that I'm talking about.
As if they were, just taking random people off the street and putting them behind the cockpit.
They're not, right? It's not about, see again, that's what he said. Like they're taking random people. No, but they may, because you don't know. Because here's the thing. The black population is about, what, 20% of the population? But you have to be 40% of qualified candidates. There is a high likelihood that you have to relax certain standards or ignore certain things to meet that quota. That's the thing. That's the argument. That's the viewpoint of Charlie Kirk. Not because, oh, black people are not good. Black people would not make good pilots. But again, how can you make a significant amount of a workforce when you are not significant amount of the population? That is the thing. That's the mindset of this. You know what? This is a thing where I don't know about you guys, right? I don't know about you guys. I'm a 80s and 90s baby, right? I was born in the 80s, so I grew up in the 90s. Race, I don't know about you, right? This is my own point of view. Growing up, we didn't have a problem about race. We weren't talking about race 24/7, right? Not everything out of a black person's mouth is, oh, the white man this, racism that, in my opinion, right? This is my opinion. I thought we were more friendly to each other, right? White people, black people were more friendly to each other. They were more on a better terms. It's now like the president said, I believe at a certain point in time, we rocket up to more racism, or everything is racist. Everything is this. It's like, what happened? It's like, it's crazy. I believe we became even more, racist or more fixated on race as time goes on. It's crazy.
But it went a little bit deeper than that with Charlie when it came to race in the black community. It seemed like one of his bread and butter go-to talking points whenever he was off to travel was this obsession with black on black crime. And the issue is not that Charlie or conservatives or right-leaning individuals would bring up black on black crime. Heck, I might bring it up and oftentimes will. The issue is the lack of reference to quote-unquote white on white crime.
I wanted to talk about this, right? So, why do people bring up black on black crimes and not reference white on white crime, Asian on Asian crime, or crime of proximity? Because I agree, crime is usually proximity. I agree. But why do these detractors always talk about black on black crimes? They don't talk about white on white crime and all these other crimes. Why? Because here's the thing. Here's the mindset you got to look at. None of these other races talk about their struggles. None of these other races blame the white man. Blame others, right? None of these races, Asian people aren't talking about this. White people, Indians, whatever, they aren't making it an issue. Oh, the white man's this, white man's this. The system is holding me down. I need reparations. The white man is holding me down. No one is blaming anyone else for the issues that's going on in their lives. Okay? Not the Asian community, not the white, not any other community. It is black. It is the black community. It is the black community. The black community is blaming everyone else but themselves. No accountability. I may get hurt. I may get hate. I'll probably get hate for it. But that is the thing. Okay? The black community is blaming everyone else but themselves. So why do detractors talk about black on black crime? Because that, right? That is a symbol of you need to take accountability. What's the problem in the black community? Isn't the white man, right? Isn't the white man holding you down? Okay? Isn't the cops, and again, cops killing citizens is a terrible thing. I'll agree 100%. Cops injuring, hurting, killing citizens is a terrible thing. I have my own viewpoints of police because I think they're like a legalized game, right? Essentially, the system, I think the cop system needs to be overhauled. But cops killing, let's say, black people isn't a problem in the community. It's not like a problem, but it's not the problem. It's not the problem that's hurting the black community. I mean, let's I'm trying to check some statistics. In 2024, 248 black people, right, across the nation died by police shootings, right? In 2024, right? 2024, I said, what is it? I said 248 people, right? Black people died by police shootings. I don't see a 2024, but in 2019, almost 3,000 black Americans died by black on black crimes. You got to see the difference, right? So that's why Charlie Kirk would talk about, a man like Charlie Kirk would bring black on black crime, not talk about white on white crime, Asian on Asian crime, because here's the thing. What is the problem? What is a big problem in the black community? What's a big problem in the black community isn't a cop killing you. It's your fellow brothers, right? That's the problem. As much as you call that racist, okay, white on white crime is not hurting the black community, right? White on white crime is not hurting the black community. Cops killing black people isn't hurting the black community. Although it's bad, I do not disagree. It's bad. That is not what's hurting the black community. Okay, one of the issues is black on black crime. So that is why I wanted to talk about this, because this is where I said this. I find this man, I respect this man madly, right? For what he said about men's issues and men and women's dynamic. I respect this man. But I'm sorry. You are wrong. You are mad wrong. or even I'm maybe not wrong, but you viewing this right. You're going about this in the wrong way. You're critically thinking about this in the wrong way.
He, like many of his political counterparts, or peers rather, would go out of his way to talk about the 13% of the population representing 50% of the crime. I want to say this and hopefully clear this up for those that continuously use this specific talking point. The same way that there's an overfixation with Charlie on Black criminality and culture, but never quite the same attention or energy when it came to the culture of the majority. That seems to suggest that you're attempting to pathologize one community as if there aren't issues within each community.
There is issues with each community, right? There is issue with each community. The issue is what's holding back each community. Okay? We have to say this. What is holding back each community? That's it. Because here's the thing, in today's day and age, we have the Black community essentially viewing the white men as the boogeyman. Well, I'm sorry. Right? They aren't. The white people aren't the boogeyman of the community, right? So that is the problem where what is holding back the community? Well, it's the crime. It's the crime. It's the lack of morality, right? It's the lack of being good citizens. You know, it's funny. One of the things where I had a bunch of detractors, right? A bunch of detractors I always like to bring this up, right? One of my most viral TikTok videos, when I talked about illegal immigration, I had so many people, some Black people, talk about, oh, you are just model minority citizen. Wow, it's such an insult. It's such an insult to be a good citizen. It's such an insult to be a good citizen. This is like the insult you can give Asian people, right? The insult you can give Asian people is for being model minority citizens. You are the model minority citizen. You are good citizens. What an insult. Why isn't it, right? As a citizen of a country, is it not a goal to be a good citizen? Why isn't? I can never understand that. Why is it that we need to glorify being anarchists, glorify being criminals, glorify being fighting against the system in a sense, or that's the anarchist thing, being criminals in a way? I think it's ridiculous. Totally awesome. What's up, my brother? I didn't know that. I didn't know the Hispanics rate.
When you reference the 13% of the population, and you factor in every single person at TJ.
Exactly. So this is a thing where I'm sorry, why do white people or people who are detractors talk about this, right? They talk about the criminality, right? The criminality within the Black community, because that's the poison. That's a poison in the Black community. And the problem, controversially, right? This is controversially, the Black people don't care. The Black community do not care about their the criminal poison in their community. They do not care because I respect this man. I highly respect this man, but it is this right here. It's the excuse. It's the taking away accountability. Right? It's the taking away of accountability of your own community. That is harmful. And that is a detriment to your community.
Every single person is committing crime within that population. It is not 13%. Not even close. But when you use their
agitators, Meathead, what's up?
13%, it gives this impression that you're both attributing the acts of the few onto the many, and that we should view the group by the actions of the few.
Let me say this, right? No, I have no statistics on it. But to say it's the actions of the few might be, no statistics, might be disingenuous. So, I can't say, it's the majority, right? I'm not saying it's the majority, but I'm saying this is a thing where the lack of morality, the lack of character, the lack of being good citizens, right? Being intellectuals, being proper human beings, maybe not proper human beings. I'm sorry, scratch that. Being good citizens, good humans, might not be the majority of the citizens, right? The majority of the community.
Charlie never did that when it came to white male mass shooters. He never referenced the white community whenever a white individual committed a crime.
Because here's the thing, the white community, they're not complaining about the problems in their community. I don't know about you, please tell me, right? Are white people complaining about their problems? Are white people complaining? This is the thing where, let me say this, right? This is maybe another a theory I have. White people have so little problems, right? White people have so little problems. White people have so little problems in their life. They care about other people's problems. They care about the Middle East, the shit that's going on in the Middle East. You've never been to the Middle East, yet you care about that shit, right? White people have so little problems. The majority of the left cares about the LGBT shit when they're a small percent of the population. They are so, white people are so problem free that they care about other shit, not their people, right? Not shit that is affecting their community. That's the thing. White people in their mindset, they have no problems. What's a problem in their community? They're not caring about if they're, suffering from poor or, all that shit. They don't. So that's why I see a lot of kids, a lot of white people care about the fucking Middle East, but you don't live there, but you care about that because you're so problem free. That's my kind of view, where why they don't talk about, let's say, white on white crime, because honestly, they don't care. It's not affecting their community as a whole, right? It's not making them, like, I don't know, struggle or shit like that. They're not complaining about that. Do you think black people don't talk about you behind your back? I wouldn't be surprised. You disagree? I say in general, right? Everything I say is in general.
It's an act of terrorism. He never quoted the percentage currently of white people as an explanation or description.
To what? To black people problem? To racism? Right? I mean, again, white on white crime isn't a description or whatever to the issues of black people. That's why this is the issue where he have black people, black students or whatever, talk to him about whatever, the problems with racism, right? Racism. Well, white on white crime isn't an issue in racism, right? It is an issue in the black, it isn't an issue in the black struggle. But what is an issue in the black struggle is criminality. I mean, I say in general, right? In general, I do think white people in the individual have plenty of problems. We as people, right, have plenty of problems. I'm saying in general, there's not a central problem in my view that they're fighting for. So let's say we have black people. Their central problem, right? Their ideal problem is racism. So they're fighting for that. White people, what central problem are they fighting as a whole? Not really anything, right? And again, of course, plenty of white people are struggling financially, whatever, right? Plenty of individual small problems, right? Or individual problems. So that's where I'm going about.
In Charlie Kirk's worldview, it seemed that white people tended to be allowed to be seen as individuals, and black people, whether they were pilots or criminals, were seen as a monolith. We don't have to.
I don't see this. I don't. There's the whole thing where the monolith thing. Where I gotta say this, okay? We don't want certain groups of people to be viewed as a monolith, but we can't stop it. Why do you think stereotypes happen, right? One of the biggest stereotypes of Asian people, right? Asian men, small D's. You think I like that? Right? You think I like that as we are see, that's a monolith. That's a monolithic view of Asian men. You think I love that stereotype? I don't. Right? Small D's, small guys. I'm 5'11". Right? But that's the monolithic mindset, right? You group all Asian men like this. It is part of the human experience. It's part of the human mindset, right? So it is not good at math. I mean, like, I suck at math, right? Like, seriously, one of the things why when I went to college, I went into art because I suck at math. So, I was like, seriously, I'm not, I mean, I wouldn't say I suck at math, but I'm not that good at math, right? So that's the thing. So it's like, soulless? Because you're a redhead? That's weird. I've never heard of that stereotype. I never heard of that stereotype before. So that is weird. But it's like, that's the thing where we got to understand how the human experience works, human mind works. We do have a monolithic view of certain people. How many times we hear like, oh, men are dangerous. We hear that plenty of times, right? We hear plenty of times that, oh, men are dangerous. They're not. But the small few of men, okay, well, the bad apples, they put a terrible umbrella over men. It's how society goes about things.
Go too much into detail because I will go further down as it relates to his views in terms of his denial that Gazans were ever starving and that Palestinians didn't or don't exist.
I didn't know that. That's interesting. This guy, you guys are smart as shit. That's why you guys tell me something new every time.
Response number 3. Irony. For someone who spent so much of his life, particularly his adult life, talking about black on black crime, Muslims, immigrants, and more than likely being killed by somebody that was none of these things, potentially, i.e., he's in Utah, public space.
I agree. You know what? One thing I said, right? I've worked and I've lived by a lot of black people, and I asked them, "What racism do you experience?" Most of them, if not all of them, said nothing. I barely interact with white people, right? Most of them barely interact with white people, and when they do interact with white people, it's usually during the workplace. And honestly, they don't really say any racist things. Not many anything significant or that much, So
videos or pictures as of yet of a black or Muslim individual being shown, but to be fair, we don't know as of yet. But I won't be shocked if we are to ever find out who the suspect is. And to be fair, I may actually agree with Charlie in many respects as it relates to the Second Amendment, but still none the same. I don't think that he had ever truly anticipated the idea, especially at this point at 31 years old, that it could be his death that was worth the cost. In response number 4, enough with the platitudes, with the pleasantries, the state of this empire, and this civilization that we call a country. Political violence has no place in this country. We see it, we hear it, we read it all the time. And deep down, we know when they say political violence has no place in this country, this is being said by two political parties who fund endless wars, assassination attempts, and political violence abroad. Our politician chooses to destabilize entire regions around the planet. Still,
You know, this is a thing where, again, my views may be, I would be called racist, but I will say this, and I will continue to say this. One of the things why I talk about racism, right? Talk about race, talk about issues with the black community, because one of the things I hope, right? One of the things I hope I can do is, yo, whiskey. One of the things I hope is that we will unify. Like black people won't hate white people, and white people won't hate black people, right? I don't want that divide anymore. I don't want us divided, because one of the things I am worried about is a civil war, right, between the left and the right, black and white, because it seems like we're heading towards that, and I don't want that. We are a nation of Americans, right? Diversity is so important. Even our Canadian friends, right? I don't want us hating each other. Right? Hating each other, because of my skin tone. Oh, I hate you because you're white. I hate you because you're black. Not because of your character, right? You don't know this person by their characters, their moralities, their principles. You just hate them because of their skin tone. And that's the thing why I talk about this, is that I want us to not live in this hate, not live in this victimhood, not live in this mindset where, the white man is always to blame for everything. I think it's not helpful. I think it's a dangerous path we're going down.
Resources from nations topple governments. Our country, our political system, our political discourse are based on nothing but lies and hypocrisy. We know this thing that just happened with Charlie, it'll come and go by mid-October. And almost no one will be talking about this 30 days from now. So in conclusion, I think his life and his passing are reflected in the mixed emotions of those still here. You can't have a life filled with marginal bigotry, cultural elitism, and empire-praising talking points and be shocked when not everyone is sad when you are gone.
That's because people misconstrue his words. People misinterpret his words. People watch clips. This was a man, right? This was a man that would talk to you face to face. He goes to campuses where anyone and everyone can go on, which is kind of the detriment, right? Kind of his downfall. But he went on campuses where anyone can come on a campus and just talk to him face to face. And you can get this man's explanations, this man's viewpoint, this man's context to his views. But people did not care about the context. People did not care about knowing the whole view. They see, you talk about black people this? I'm done. I hate you. You're hateful. It's a detriment.
Do not gloat when your enemy falls, when they stumble. Do not let your heart rejoice, for the Lord will see and disapprove and turn his wrath away from them. Proverbs 24:17-18. Rather than mourn, or rather than pretend to mourn, I will say that his death is symbolic of many things. For me, there will be no tears nor sadness, but there will be concern for our political climate and knowing whether this message came from a lone individual or a hired hit on the behalf of a three-letter agency or foreign government. The message is still clear. Public ideas, freedom of speech, And your willingness to act on these ideals can come with a cost. You aren't as free as you think you are, and the rest of you should remember that. That's the message. But regarding Charlie, now he knows what life in Gaza must have been like. And he will probably get the same sympathy he showed for the children of Gaza. Or maybe Charlie never existed at all, like he claimed about Palestinian people. I understand the feeling of those that aren't.
This is a thing where, I do get tired when people talk about the Middle East. I don't care, right? I don't care. I've always been the believer that America first. Care about Americans, your own citizens first. Then you can give a shit about other people. When Americans are suffering or not at their best, I don't give a shit about other countries. I'm sorry. It's just my view, right? I've always been a believer of America first. Worry about the citizens first. And then once the citizens are at a good place, then we care about other people. Because healthcare, we are shit, right? We are probably like at the bottom of healthcare. We are, let's say, education. We are at the bottom of education. It's like so many things, right? So many things. We are at the bottom of the list as a nation. So unless we are at the top or the top 5, top 10 in every metric of a good nation's list, once we're at the top 10 of all these metrics of an amazing nation, a great nation, then let's give a shit about other countries. But until then, I don't give a shit about Palestine, Israel, Ukraine, Russia. I don't give a shit about these other countries. America first.
Nor are really even saddened. The feeling of being conflicted about how to feel about the situation in Charlie. I just know we are desensitized whether a sniper takes out a conservative evangelical commentator on a college campus, or a child, or a journalist in the Middle East caught in the middle of a conflict. And the truth is, we've been trained to only acknowledge one of them. Guess which one that is? Woe to those that call evil good and good evil. The truth and your legacy and how you've chosen to view people, speak of people, and treat people will impact how we feel when you're gone. I don't believe that this is a reason to cheer. I don't believe that this is a reason to mourn for many. But like I said earlier, I think it's okay to be conflicted. I am. I personally look at this moment as a greater concern over freedom of speech, freedom of ideas and expression, and the signal, the message that it sends to the rest of us. I do not agree with Charlie on many things. Some things I did. And I wish that the publicity.
Jennifer, one of the things I would say, I really wish that they are more transparent with how they use our tax money. I really hate how America distributes tax. I really do.
Care and concern.
That was the only thing where I disagree with him about the race part. Everything else, it's interesting. What do you guys think? Why does it do that? No, what is that? Really? Is Canada's healthcare worse than the US? I thought they're better. I thought Canada's healthcare is better than ours. And what is MAID? Again, I want to guys tell you, right? I'm talking about this tonight's live is pretty much we're talking about race. So, if you not interested, I understand, right? And yet the government can't take care of our beloved veterans. And again, I agree. I agree. We shouldn't be having veterans homeless in the streets. I think that's disgusting. I really do. Our veterans should be like living pretty well, right? They should be educated after they get out of the military. They should be living a better life. So, really, medical assistance in dying. All right. So, I want to check out this video that I thought was interesting, right? One BLM critic versus 6 BLM supporters. So, let's see. Let's see if this is good or not. This is like a kind of like a Jubilee knockoff. So, but hopefully this one they don't copyright you. So, that's a good thing.
BLM protests made cities less safe. So let's get into it. Yo,
How you doing, brother?
what's happening, brother Justice? How you doing, man?
Good, man.
Good
Nice
to
to
see
meet you again.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
on the topic of if BLM made cities less safe, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
I want to start out with a fact,
Mhm.
and it's going to be coming from just not nation, but just LA in general.
Okay.
The LAPD budget in 2020 from 2021.
Really? I mean, this is the thing. I was staying in the UK, so I know that the UK is terrible. They had terrible customer service. Lines are like long as shit. So they had problems, right? The UK health system, which is pretty much similar to the Canadian health system, there's a lot of problems. So this is a thing where we gotta realize no country is 100% perfect, right? No country is 100% perfect. I agree. All lives matter. Not just, yep, I agree. The Native Americans. I definitely agree. All lives matter.
Was $1.85 billion. That's more than some countries in Africa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's more than the economy of some countries in Africa. 1.85 billion, right?
Oh, yeah. Probably even outside of Africa.
Yes. Considering that their budget was 1.85 billion.
Author, what's up? American blacks are the most hateful race. I always say this, right? Right now, because of the fixation on race, it is not a great image for the black community. Now, I definitely would not say all, right? Not all, but I believe the fixation on race and racism is making the black community very, very hateful themselves, turning them into the people they criticize and hate. So it is something that I want to try to push. I want to, try to change. I mean, I'm not going to change anything, right? I'm nobody, but have a voice in changing where we shouldn't be hating each other. We shouldn't be hating each other.
My opinion is that what was happening from 2020 all the way until about 2022, it proved the inadequacies of public safety. Mm-hmm. If we were giving our tax dollars, we're going into the LAPD budget to make it at 1.85 billion.
That is a crazy thought too. No. anyone can be racist. I agree, Jennifer. I agree. Fatigue of any group of people is, anyone, right?
Then, in my opinion, from the protests, from the sit-ins, for things that were happening, because I was actually on the front lines every day organizing with some of my colleagues who got arrested for just speaking out. Um, it proved to me that if we're spending that much money on police, one protest shouldn't turn into a quote unquote riot, which in my opinion, they weren't riots, they were just protests. But if we are giving a force that's supposed to protect people, which I know we're gonna disagree on that later on.
Yeah, we'll see.
Then I would say, why do we have police, right? If they're not protecting our communities, if they're not protecting the property in which police was formed, right? And to protecting property, not people. Police was formed to protect property, to protect people who are in the higher echelon. So that proves to me the inadequacies of the police department, right? If individuals think that they were riots or they were making people safe, then why are we spending money on police?
Right. Yeah, no, brother. I hear your challenge.
Yeah.
Let me step up to it. To your point about the inadequacies of law enforcement in Los Angeles in particular, although I'm sure this applies in many other places. And brother, I would agree in many respects. I would also say though, it's a tremendously difficult project. Policing the biggest city in the world, particularly when you have a history in Los Angeles that is very much racially fraught. Let's be honest about it. I think now, look, I know a lot of cops, and I think I know a lot of good cops, right? But when you got folks, even if they're sort of well-intentioned, who are coming from starkly different cultural backgrounds, starkly different parts of the country, so on and so forth, and a lot of times, historically, what I believe has happened, there's a book that everybody should read called Ghetto Side. It's a little bit dated now. It goes back to about 2008 or so in Los Angeles. Part of what it identifies is a system in which you've got a lot of the sort of most underperforming police officers assigned to the most dangerous territories, because the most experienced and high-performing police officers are sent to the wealthier parts of Los Angeles, right? Now, there are heroic exceptions where you got veterans on the force who just commit themselves to trying to work in the hood because that's where they feel like they're needed. But even those parts of the department are under-resourced relative to the resources that go to cops that are patrolling in other areas. But there's an irony in that, though, see, because the thing is that there's the question of the quality of policing, but there is still a question of having adequate resources to actually be able to serve a given community. I would argue that there's a problem on both ends. But while there's a qualitative problem with policing in many areas, especially in the inner city areas and where people of color predominate, there's also a quantitative problem where many crimes don't get solved because you actually don't have enough police in many parts of the Black community in particular. And I don't know if this is your experience, but it's definitely my experience. When you talk to people's aunties and uncles and grandparents, that's generally the point of view a lot of them have, is that we actually need more police in many areas. Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
Okay, the topic of reparations. I think that's idiotic. Because, again, reparations, they should have done it. They should have done it like, I don't know, 60, 70, 100 years ago, if that, right? They should have done it for people that are directly affected. But now you can't, right? Now you can't, because, again, the people that are affected from slavery is not around. The people that participated in enslaving is not around. So I don't agree. Reparation is, it is flawed. Now, I don't agree to that too, right? I don't agree. I thought it was stupid. I did not agree. I hate American foreign policies. Okay, we should not have given Ukraine $300 billion. That should have been siphoned through the American system. It should have been given to the people. If you had $300 billion, I'm not sure if that's the exact number, but if you had that amount of money, that should be given to the American people. I'd rather you giving that to Black people, right? If that's what you're going to do with it.
If I may interrupt, I would just say that, whether it be in Watts or whether it be, Hawthorne or Compton, I would say there's more of a militarization of police there than we have in Beverly Hills or we have in Calabasas, right? And these communities.
And that is disgusting, right? That is another disgusting thing. Again, why I don't give a shit about the Middle East. Again, why we're doing that? That money should be going to the American people.
Are complaining on why there are so many other police forces around high schools, around even what we're seeing with ICE now, around Home Depots, around Carl's Juniors, and it's become a more so of a problem in these communities than of a feeling of safety. And I also want to get on the second topic, since we've already agreed, it looks like, when it comes to the inadequacies of public safety, is that during the BLM era, and like I said, I was fortunate enough to be out there and organize and mobilize and actually see a protest from A to Z.
Are you from LA yourself?
I'm from New York,
Okay, yeah.
but I was arrested. I was arrested during the BLM
If you're from New York, you know about it, both sides of the
definitely. Yes.
Tough relationships with the cops.
There were also white individuals who were breaking in windows, who were looting, who were burning down cars. And you know what the media blamed it on? Black individuals. They didn't blame it on white individuals. And I seen it with my own eyes when I was out there. It was white individuals masked up, right? Not showing their face, infiltrating different type of protests, breaking windows, burning buildings. And then in the media, it said that these were riots. Oh, these BIPOC people were out of control. What is going on? And it pains me because when I was out there every day, peaceful, right? I've seen so many different people, Black, Asian, Mexican, diverse group of folks, not just Black folk. We were speaking about human rights. And I didn't see one individual within those groups throwing Molotov cocktails or breaking windows. It was only until I would say 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night where those individuals who were ill-meaning and were not a part of our groups, they would go and break out windows and throw Molotov cocktails.
Space for trust to unfold, right? Because I think that in general there probably needs to be more cops in particularly inner city communities than there are. But if there are more cops but less trust, then you're just pouring fuel on the fire potentially, right? So it's a complicated situation because on the one hand, crime does exist at a higher level in American inner cities than it does in the suburbs. I mean, now there's a historical reason for that, which itself has to do with the racialized history in American society. So I'm not trying to ignore that. But the day-to-day reality is that crime does need to be confronted. There does need to be resources and boots on the ground to do that. But there also needs to be a culture of trust and respect that allows for that to happen. And I didn't feel that it was the overall tendency of Black Lives Matter to sort of nurture that culture of trust and respect. I'll give you a couple of examples. I knew somebody who helped design a program called Policing Black Men in Minneapolis. That started off creating sort of individual relationships between young Black men in Minneapolis and law enforcement, and wound up growing into a flourishing program which had many participating cops, many participating members of the community.
Patrol groups.
It had community bias, right? And what happened is in the aftermath of George Floyd, the killing, the murder of George Floyd. I know some people don't look at it as a murder, but I hear you. But that's still how that's still kind of my point of view on it. But that good program, which was doing good work, wound up nearly collapsing because the social stigma on even having relationships with law enforcement was such that a lot of those Black folks couldn't participate in it anymore because they were getting criticized by people who didn't know Minneapolis and the law enforcement officers they were dealing with in the way that they knew them. And similarly in Los Angeles, I don't know if it was Watts or Compton, it was one of the two, but I was here when you had Black Lives Matter protesters coming in from out of town who wanted to march, might have been to the project, but who wanted to march in one of these areas and call out the LAPD. And local activists who had actually been in these conversations for a long time said, we don't need that, that's not helpful, because things have actually been getting better here over recent years. And so, you paint with a broad brush about law enforcement and so on and so forth, and suddenly you adopt a one-size-fits-all combative solution, which doesn't always lead to consensus and progress, and sometimes can undermine the trust that's actually growing in certain areas.
I wanted to bring up, you made a great point about community policing, right? Community control, right? And we see several different municipalities outside of LA doing that already. But what I found that was interesting and telling that a lot of people on your side of the aisle didn't really center was when there was some community policing going on with Kyle Rittenhouse and his group of individuals and vigilantes.
Does that count as community? He's somebody from a community who's deciding to sort of.
Well, he was with the community of folks, whether it be Proud Boys or Liberty First or those Gun Amendment individuals.
I'm gonna let you elaborate. Then I'm okay. Respond to that.
Oh, okay, thank you. I appreciate that. So what I felt that was quite interesting is that with those vigilante groups that worked with the police, by the way, the police said they needed help, right? They called on Proud Boys and these vigilante groups. Kyle Rittenhouse and his group.
I'm not believing or disbelieving you.
I'm just saying it's been documented.
Information.
This has been documented.
You may very well know something I don't know.
They reached out to the police department and said, we're going to help, we're going to be there. Police departments didn't say yes, or they didn't say no. Yeah. Right? And in my opinion, at that point, they should have said, we got this. We have enough money in our budget. Why do we need some vigilantes, right? But that community policing turned out to be really, really bad, right? In my opinion, if Kyle and his group of vigilantes weren't called or didn't go out and weren't armed, there wouldn't have been any shootings. Yeah, right. So that person wouldn't have died that day. Yeah. But that community policing in an already over-policed area, which you already said, more communities need more police. That community was already over-policed.
Yeah, just really quick, because I think that we got some common ground. Like I said, I'm not. You're giving me some new information, so I want to learn more about it before I speak to that more specifically. I will say that, and this just gets back to the irony, though. I think that in many cases we actually need more police in order to actually adequately fulfill their function in certain contexts. Because even if the police aren't calling out vigilantes to get involved in certain situations, if people feel unsafe, they're going to take their safety into their own hands with a great deal less training and credibility in order to be able to sort of effectuate that responsibly. And I think a lot of people would point to Kyle Rittenhouse as an example of that. Having said that, though, I would just say really quickly that when I think of community policing, and in fact, in Los Angeles, I think it's a positive thing. We essentially have a community policing bureau. Yeah. I think of methods of, and I'm not an expert.
Oh, yeah. I know that one, right? That one was crazy. That lost a lot of credibility, in my view. Exactly.
I think of methods of policing that are much friendlier to sort of a philosophy of restorative justice, that are really defined by police officers being in relationship with the community and preempting the context in which violent crime arises through positive relationships. So when I think of community policing, I'm not thinking of vigilantism. I'm thinking about an approach to policing that's trying to leverage and build out the goodwill of the community. So that kind of community policing, I am inclined to feel sympathetic towards.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right, brother.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate you.
Yes. Had a negative effect on public safety and safety of our cities in really sort of two particular dimensions. One is in the area, of course, of the immediate effects of the protests and the riots themselves. I think it's been estimated that there's $1 to $2 billion worth of damage that unfolded during the course of the summer of 2020, protests and even riots that occurred in that context. And in that context, I think you had a lot of damage being done to local businesses, you had a lot of damage being done to members of the community. But then following on from that, and sort of in close relationship to what some people call the defund the police movement, I think you had a change in the culture of policing. I think that you had an impact in certain cases on municipal budgets and changes in the way law enforcement was conducting itself that had the ironic impact of actually making some of the people less safe who it was the purpose of the movement to be able to protect in the first place. So that's my general point of view.
Yeah, that's a lot to unpack.
Let's get into it.
Do you not see the purpose of grassroots movements being revolutionarily have a violence towards them, or a anger directed towards property, because property is being valued far more than communities that the police are supposed to protect?
I hear where you're coming from. If you go back to the 1960s, of course, people are oftentimes inclined to cite Martin Luther King Jr., who's really my hero and my role model. More than anybody among historical figures of the 20th century. And, Dr. King said that riots are the voice of the language of the oppressed, right? And so I think that part of what you're getting at is the fact that people have deep pent-up frustrations and passions against injustice, right? And that sometimes that expresses itself in a lashing out. We have to understand that context. And Dr. King understood that context, right? Dr. King was also not pro-riot by any means. And if you just sort of trace his quotation, he goes on to talk about how this is antithetical to sort of the spirit of nonviolence that he represented. But that at the same time, he did not consider human lives, physical property, to be of equal value to human lives, right? So I do think that it's worth understanding that distinction. I recognize it, but I think that the question ultimately is the manner in which protests conducted ultimately conducive to creating an environment in which we can advance tangible solutions and progress for the things that people are protesting about. And as a means of getting there, are we calling people into the conversation rather than frightening people, damaging their livelihoods, damaging their community, even if it's coming from a place of some understandable grievance, right? In order to create a context in which we can address something as complex as criminal justice reform, right? And I just see the Black Lives Matter movement as, in many respects, having sort of allowed for there to be a space in which there's a lot of violence and damage done to property. But the thing is that also in turn shifts the politics of America in a way that makes it more difficult to find common ground on the sort of reform that people might like to see, right? So, that's really my critique, even if I can understand sort of where you're coming from, the revolutionary point of view, so to speak.
Okay, so what makes you gravitate towards Martin Luther King rather than Muhammad Ali or Malcolm X? I'm just curious.
Yeah, well, that's a beautiful question. The short answer to the question is that it is my point of view that Dr. King, well, he led with love as the actual spiritual animating force of his social activism, right? So through the power of agape love, he was able to speak to the conscience of people who disagreed with him. And through that means, made it possible to change hearts and minds in America in a way that ultimately added up to some durable changes in the landscape of not just civil rights, but American culture, things that continue to be positive for us to this day. That doesn't mean that Dr. King solved everything, but he tried to call people into the conversation, and he painted a picture of universal and shared humanity, even human brother and sisterhood, right? That I think made...
And that's what I love, right? We are lacking that. We are lacking the sense of humanity, lack a sense that we're all humans. We need to just stop thinking that we are of different races. Stop making that an importance, right? I honestly stop viewing the race as such an important factor. It's a detriment to us. It's been a detriment.
Easier for people to start to wrestle with the moral dimensions of segregation and racism in his own time, right? So it's easy to be angry, right? And people got justifiable reasons for being angry. People were justified being angry about George Floyd, in my point of view. But if you want to make change and make progress, we still have a responsible obligation to pursue that change and progress in a way that is able to sort of bring people along.
I don't know if I had justifiable for George Floyd. I don't know.
For the ride while still being willing to speak truth to power. And so I see that as being the example of Martin Luther King.
Do you have any comment on, before he passed, apparently he had said he fears that he's led his people into a burning building?
Yeah, he said, I fear I've integrated, I fear that we've integrated into a burning house, is what
Do you
he
have
said.
any comment on that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, like I said a moment ago, all problems of American race relations were not solved with the Civil Rights Movement. And what Dr. King was confronting at the end of his life was a reality that, on the one hand, the political accomplishments of civil rights reform was immense, but that there was a lot that was very imperfect in terms of how integration was being implemented. There's a lot of token integration, where a lot of Black people didn't necessarily have real influence within American institutions, be it locally or more broadly speaking. And even more to the point, Dr. King felt that there was a great economic marginalization of Black people and an intense resistance, even from white people who had been allies of the civil rights movement earlier on, to then reckon with the economic justice question. And that quote was from one of those moments.
I agree. I mean, this is the thing where no one ever talks about who sold, the Africans into slavery.
But I would just point out to people that to his dying breath, Dr. King always stood by the philosophy.
No, he was a flawed man. But here's the thing, right? We should recognize everyone is flawed, right? Every man is flawed. Everyone is flawed. No one is perfect.
Nonviolence is being both the most moral way to approach social justice and the most effective. And so, that was a stand that he never stepped away from.
I would agree to disagree just on the stance of it's the most moral, but it's not the most effective. But
yeah,
that's just a disagreement.
It's all other conversation, man. I'd love to have issues.
I really disagree with that statement because I live in Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. I see it up close and personal. Mm-hmm. This is something that happens a lot, the racial profiling, police stopping Black men for no reason. Mm-hmm. They may not make it home that night to make an outcry. We have marched many times.
It's kind of, they're not making it home. It's kind of disingenuous. Early on, I gave a statistic of 2024, 248 Black men died by police. That is across the country, right? Overall, nationwide, 248 Black men died by police. So to say that someone wouldn't make it at all if they were stopped by police it's like really rare, in my opinion.
But I really don't see, maybe you can explain it to me, I really don't see how the protesting can make murdering a Black man even more common than it is.
Yeah. Well, yes, seem more common, right? But let me just say that I feel like I have a good deal of sympathy with where you're coming from with this. And actually, I have a problem with the statement that I just made here too.
Lion Champion, what's up? There shouldn't be any, you idiot. Yeah, okay. I mean, here's the thing: everyone is free for their opinions, right? They're free to have their opinions.
Because it says that BLM made police violence against Black Americans seem more common than it is. Well, police violence against African Americans is disproportionate, right? It is actually the case that Black Americans experience more physical violence from police officers per capita on average, right, than do other groups. That is, I think, immensely supported by the data. The specific discrepancy that I think was, however, greatly embellished and exaggerated to the point of constituting a real problem for our societal ability to wrestle with the reality and complexity of what was happening, is the idea that police killings of African Americans were much greater than they in fact are. Right now, just a couple of sort of data points on that. Washington Post had a report some years back looking at available data from the municipal and the federal level and so forth, and came to the conclusion that, I forget the specific year, but it was 2018, 19, or 20. It was in that range, that you had somewhere between 9 and 15 unarmed African Americans killed by police in a given year. More African Americans in total, but in terms of unarmed African Americans, between about 9 and 15, and only about 1,000 or so Americans killed by police, period, within that same year. But if you look at polling data in terms of what most people, particularly more folks who are more self-identified, progressive, and so forth, what they believed was true in terms of annual shooting deaths of African Americans by police in a given year, about 39% of people believed it was upwards of 1,000. Right. Right, exactly. And so, now I actually happen to believe that 9 in a year figure is probably not correct. It's probably more.
It is incorrect.
Well, I'm sure that it is, because there's a lot that needs to be improved in terms of how we collect data, and you always have to allow for the possibility of things being covered up, right? So I'm not trying to be naive about it. At the same time, though, I don't believe that it's anywhere near the thousands in a given year. But because people believed that it was in the thousands in a given year, it became relatively common for people to speak in terms of the genocide of young Black men by police, right? And so, look, if I actually believe that there was a genocide that was taking place against Black people in America, I would probably be acting much more extreme myself in response to that. I mean, it's when you think about it against that backdrop, it's sort of understandable that certain people reacted the way that they did, but that's exactly the problem, because there is a problem. So there's I don't know if you're familiar with a researcher named Roland Fryer, Black man at Harvard. He embedded himself in about 5 different police departments across the country. I forget which ones exactly. One was Houston, one might have been Philly. So he was across the geographic range. And he looked at and observed in real time their data collection process. He reviewed their internal records. He had personal relationships with the cops and the community. And he came away with the assessment that there's really not much in terms of racially differentiated occurrences of police homicide towards African Americans, where cops are actually killing Black people at rates disproportionate to that of whites, if you factor in the increased rate of police encounters, because there are more violent crimes in inner city communities. And again, putting aside the historical reasons why. But he did notice the very thing I said up front, or just a moment ago, which is that in terms of just casual, sort of harassment, frisking, throwing a man on the hood of a police car, physically abusive sorts of engagements during the ordinary course of policing. Ordinary police interactions with Black people tended to be significantly more violent on a statistical level than what you had with Black people policing in white areas, and particularly suburban communities and so forth. So, I'm not trying to,
I would say I'm not saying in totality that it's like, the Black man's fault, but I would say this, that because there's distrust, right? There is terrible relations between the Black community and police. I wouldn't be surprised that 9 times out of 10, a Black person is most likely rude or disrespectful or just very ignorant to a police officer. And here's the thing. You have to understand that here are average people, right? Essentially average people gaining power, right? The power, you are bestowed power thanks to becoming a police officer. So since you have this power, well, if someone disrespects you, you will take it as a slight, okay? Disrespect you in any kind of way. So this is why, certain people will, bend the knee to a police officer, let's say a white person, Asian person, whatever, they will essentially bend the knee to a police officer because they know that this authority, right, has power. So you can't disrespect authority, or you will get, really violent results. Now, bad or not, it is what it is. But again, when you have power, right, sometimes you get drunk with said power. And a lot of times, if you're drunk on power, well, if someone disrespects you, well, you're gonna act out. You're gonna be more violent.
Gloss over the idea that people were legitimately mad about something that was real, but when we recreated the reality to where it was not sort of broad-based police sort of harassment, but genocide, then we're no longer in a place to.
Let's try something else. I mean, it's okay, video, but I don't know if let's try something else. Let's check out this Charlie Kirk video, right? Let's end out on this Charlie Kirk video.
It is definitionally the.
All right. I'm here to ask the age-old question, DEI.
Okay, great.
Yeah, give me your perspective on DEI, and because based on what I heard earlier, I feel like you don't think I belong here.
Oh,
because
really?
Why? How I am a black man, and because of DEI, I'm not qualified enough.
Are you?
To be here. Yes, I am.
Okay, great. Then you belong.
But why do I have to prove that to you?
You don't. You brought it up. I didn't.
Okay, but can you explain to me your position on DEI?
Yes, people should not be in positions just because of the color of their skin. Hard stop.
Okay, but do you feel like I'm here because
I'm not feeling anything towards you, actually. Okay, I'm not prejudicing you. I'm not stereotyping you. I'm saying that it's a material.
I'm not saying you are. I'm not saying you are.
No, you are.
See, that's the thing where a lot of detractors of Charlie Kirk, they think that he's against black people. He's against DEI. Okay, he believes that because of this program, because of certain programs that specifically gear or values race, gender, sexual orientation, it is a negative negative ideology or negative program onto the population. So he didn't say that, oh, black people don't qualify, but because of these kind of programs that, oh, you know what? I only care about your race. I only care about your gender. Well, it puts the connotation where, okay, now should I care about your race? Not because you're good enough, your merits? No, that's the problem.
You said I don't feel comfortable being here. You started with.
I didn't say I wasn't comfortable being here. I said I feel like you made it to where I got here through DEI.
So let's examine that. What have I said that makes you feel that way?
When you mentioned how DEI is only just putting people of color and marginalized groups in spaces, even if they're not so and so.
Correct. That's exactly what DEI does.
But that's not all that it does. You're categorized.
Yeah. I think women, right? Women receive the most benefit from DEI programs. So I do agree. I think women, and then I believe it's black women, and then I believe it's black people. I believe.
It is something it isn't.
No, that's exact. That is the charter mission.
That's not all.
Okay, so diversity, equity. So equity is outcome based. It's about making people who are of different skin colors have the same outcome, regardless whether or not they are qualified. The best example we have of this is the Students for Fair Admission Harvard Supreme Court case, where black students, they could have a SAT score 300 points lesser than the Asian equivalent and still get into Harvard. That is DEI in practice. I believe when you're hiring for an organization or for a company or for whatever you are doing, you should prioritize merit and character, and race should mean nothing. We should build around things that matter and not things that don't matter.
You have to also.
You know, this is maybe a controversial opinion, but I also think that the minorities should not care about feminism, shouldn't care about affirmative action, shouldn't care about DEI, because I do agree they don't benefit. They don't really benefit from it like that, but they are the poster child of it, which is insane. It's insane.
You have to also take into the fact that Black people have only been able to completely legally be able to.
Sure, Jen. I mean, what would you want me to what would you want to watch? What would you want me to react to? I'm down for requests.
Make profit for themselves for around 60 years. And this is no. Since segregation ended in 1965 and the Equal Rights Act in 1965. So there's not.
How did that? So let's talk about you. How did that impact you? How did something that happened 60 years ago impact your life?
It impacts me all the time.
How?
What do you? Okay.
You're at Texas A&M. You're doing great.
Okay. Yes. Sure. Yeah.
So are you a living example that all that's a bunch of nonsense and you can just act good and behave well and succeed?
But there's also living examples of the exact opposite. If you look in the impoverished neighborhoods in certain parts of Chicago or St. Louis, there's Black communities being thrown aside because they're not getting education.
Thrown aside? Okay,
yes,
so I think we can get somewhere. Why have the Black community gotten poorer since the passage of the Civil Rights Act? Tell me that.
Because of the way the culture has been perpetuated through the years.
Think about it. So they were richer when we were segregated and more racist. America's become less racist.
What about Tulsa?
Yeah, no one's going to defend what happened in Tulsa again. But let's talk. We're talking about a lot of different cities. We're talking about Chicago, Tulsa. But let's again. This is a very important point. Why is it that Black America has gotten richer on average, poorer on average, since America passed all these anti-racist laws?
I can't answer that.
Okay, yeah. So do you think the fact that 70% of Black youth don't have a dad around is probably pretty important?
That's because of the culture.
So respectfully allow me to interject. How does the white culture impact the fact whether or not a Black dad stays around when he impregnates a woman?
I'm not saying it's the white culture.
What is it?
The culture that has been perpetuated through the 200 years of slavery, the 100 years of segregation, and Jim Crow laws.
The marriage. So I got to interject.
But see, this is the thing. During the 1940s and 50s, during the whole Jim Crow thing, the Black community had the highest marriage rate out of all ethnic groups. Right? They had the highest had the highest marriage rates out of all ethnic groups. So, you got to think about that. Jennifer, what would you want? I'm down for any requests, right? So if you any of you guys, right, want to have any opinions on, if you want me something to react to, tell me.
Again, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt too much, but in 1960, before the Civil Rights Act, 20% of Black youth had a dad around. Now it's, 20% were single fathers, 80% had a dad around. It's been inverted. So we actually have seen Black dads run away from their kids the last 60 years. Why is that?
Because of the raised incarceration rates, because of the perpetuated culture.
So how does one go to jail?
That's obvious. I'm not answering that.
Yeah, so maybe it's because they committed crimes.
Okay, but when you're forced it's not just this is old, this is in the past, this doesn't affect you anymore.
Okay, so let's take a different group. How did the Holocaust impact Jews? They're doing pretty well.
Well, because they got reparations, we did.
How? What reparations did the Jews
get? Through acknowledgement, through money, through.
No, we acknowledge slavery happened.
Okay, but you're sitting here and acting like it plays no role.
No. But to your argument, the Holocaust was 80 years ago. Half of all the Jews on the planet were killed. Everything they earned was taken. Jews are doing great. They're the wealthiest subgroup, racial group or ethnic group in America. If all of a sudden something happened 80 years ago impacts your material prosperity, how did Jews defy the curve? How did poor Asians do so well? Why is it that Asians are now the wealthiest minority in America, many of whom came with no money in the 1950s or 60s?
Because of the culture and opportunities that were provided to them.
But you're not hearing me out. Black Americans.
What was provided to Asian people? This is the thing. I hate this kind of stereotype or this kind of viewpoint. Oh, Asian people came here rich. If Asian people were rich where they came from, right? Why would they come here? What's the point? If you are wealthy, if you had money, already have money where you are living, why would you make the extra effort to go to another country? That's the insanity. If you are wealthy in another country, it don't make sense for you to move out of said country where you are flourishing. That is idiotic. Most Asian people that immigrate, right, to America, they are poor. Right? I've known so many. They had to sell their home. They had to sell everything and work hard, or even do a little bit of shady stuff, right? Marriages and all that other shit. So, no.
Have had the same opportunities. However,
here people still look at us like criminals every day.
Hold on, but I don't look at you like a criminal.
I'm not saying you do. I'm saying some people do.
But I mean, do you want me to be brutally honest with you, or do you want me to be politically correct?
Brutally honest with
you. Do black people commit more crimes than white people? It's not even close.
But you have to take into account the culture that has been perpetuated.
Okay, got it. So we can agree on this. Do you mean internal black culture?
It's not. It's deeper than that.
Do you think? Let's take time out. Do you think the average rap artist that a black kid in the hood is listening to is glorifying marriage and family and saving your money?
That's what sells because it's a culture thing. It's not just within the black community.
I agree. No, but hold on.
Everyone listens to it. It's not just isolated.
It's bad for everyone who listens to it. The point being is that black youth, as they are being raised, their role models are largely not glorifying staying with one woman, getting married, going to church. And if you're wrong, show me the black role models that are doing that. There might be a couple I could think of, maybe. But if it's about culture, you're right. The internal black culture has collapsed the last 60 years. We're no longer elevating the family. We're no longer elevating staying with the person that you're with. So our contention here as conservatives is that the systemic racism stuff is a bunch of rubbish. Instead, it's systemic bad choices. If you're a homeowner, you need to listen to this. Name it.
Okay.
No, seriously. What can I do that you can't do?
That's a slippery slope.
No, it's not.
I don't know why.
Very simple. No, because back in 1940, you would have been able to answer that question. Well, Charlie, there's a bathroom over there that I can't go to. There's a major league team.
I can't walk into the grocery store and get the same looks that you do. I walked into Brookshire Brothers a couple of weeks ago when I was looked at.
That's an insanely hyper paranoid way of living life. That's not evidence, right?
It's a real
example. By the way, if I walk into a black neighborhood, I get bad looks too. Okay, so I don't know what the contention is.
Because of the way you treat our culture and the way you perpetuate.
Oh, wait, hold on. The way we treat your culture, we have gone to such great calisthenics and ridiculous gymnastics to prove that we're not racist. In fact, it's the worst thing that you could be called in America.
Now, this is the thing. For me, as someone who's not really religious, that's why I said I don't agree with Charlie Kirk on everything, because I'm not a religious person. But here's my thing, right? If religion can make you a moral person, make you a good person, make you a better citizen, make you a better American, whatever, all for it, right? Whatever. Do whatever it takes to make you a better person. I don't care. For me, right, this is the thing where I go about things where I'm trying to develop a logical morality, right? It's logical. It's something that I'm trying to develop myself, right? Logical morality. So let's say this, I'm trying to push this idea out. Why I don't steal. Well, okay, let's say if I steal from you, should I not care if you steal from me? So if I wouldn't want you to steal from me, why would I steal from you? That's my logical morality. Same thing with, let's say, killing somebody. Would I be fine with someone killing me? I wouldn't. So why would I be fine with killing you? Right? So that's my thought, right?
We had during, you know, George Floyd 2020, we had hundreds of millions of dollars given to Black Lives Matter. I don't know where that money went. Did it improve material worth of Black America? So, I mean, and we actually do know where it went, actually. And so, but going back to your main contention, when you practice DEI, because that was your main point, right? You are rewarding bad culture. You even acknowledge it. You are saying that someone should be there based on the color of their skin. We say skin color doesn't matter. If you want that position, work harder, study harder, and then you might be able to get that position.
When we're forced into underfunded communities where schools are based off of property value, we can't.
Well, actually, school choice is now the law of the land here in Texas,
Okay,
so
well,
that's not correct.
Secondly, do you just expect a single-parent home to pick up and move into some rich neighborhood?
Well, again, so let's go back to why are they the single-parent home? And that
because the hundreds of years.
Do you believe in the maxim or the belief that you should take responsibility for your decisions?
It's not just one person's decisions. It's so much deeper than that.
See,
Why are you trying to?
That's where you and I have a different belief. You believe in this.
It's a fact.
No, it's a belief. Again, you have to tell me then, why do Jews do so well? Holocaust didn't impact their material worth. How did Asians do so well? And by the way, even more so, why are Hispanics getting so much wealthier? If we were so racist, why are Hispanics all of a sudden gaining income the last 20 years? There's something.
A difference in culture. I don't know why y'all are copying. But it's a difference in culture. The way that each culture is treated is so vastly different in America.
But again, you have.
Seriously, the way each culture is treated, that's really ridiculous in my view, right? The way, honestly, that's really ridiculous.
Tell me, other than bad looks at the grocery store, how else is your future, you as a man in America, not a black man, how is your future somehow restricted by racism?
My natural hair is seen as unprofessional when I go into an office or workplace. When I walk around in certain places, people just assume, like I've said earlier, the dirty looks. When people think you are automatically the worst of the worst solely because
we don't think that.
And that's why I would support religion in that sense, right? That's why I don't mind. If it makes you a better person, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. I've never been against religion because it's, whatever makes you, gives you the sense of moralities.
Because you think you know what white people think, and you don't.
I don't know what white people think.
Then why do you keep on saying you know what white people think?
I've seen it. I'm not
you've
saying
seen our thoughts?
I've seen what people have done to me and people who look like me around the world and around in America.
How? Again, you are. Let's just make an example. You are here in the wealthiest country ever,
yes,
at an amazing university with all the opportunity imaginable in front of you. And all you want to do is look backwards at everything that prevented you when you are a glaring example that there is no systemic racism and you can actually achieve your wildest dreams.
I never said that. Hey, I'm not the only black person who exists out there. There's so many people who this culture is affecting to this day.
Do you know black Americans are the richest black people on earth?
What's the
Africa?
Okay, I need you to pull that up like right now.
You can. Black Americans per capita on average.
Can you pull that up?
I mean, I'm hosting an event right now. I don't know what to tell you, but anyone can fact check me on this. So you cannot find a black majority country or any country where black people have significant representation where they are as wealthy, because even the poorest people in America are in the top 5%, the top 2% of wealth around the world. And so my whole belief is stop acting like you're a victim and start making better choices.
Acting like a victim.
Literally, he's acting like a victim. Acting like a victim. Blaming, seriously, blaming his hair because he can't get a job. He's a college student. I'm pretty sure that's not happening for him. Right? This is the problem. This is what I'm talking about. This whole ideology, all his talking points, it's victimhood, right? You are excusing bad choices, taking away accountability. It's the white man. It's the government. It's how I'm treated. It's everything else but your own actions. lack of accountability. That is the victimhood. That is something that if I could wave a wand, that is one thing I want to take out, right? The idea of victims, right? The victimhood mentality.
This is not a victim mentality.
No, it fundamentally is, because white people are not out to get you. There is nothing holding black people back. Let me say that again. There is nothing holding black people back. In fact, the opposite. You can get into colleges with lower test scores. You could say things that white people can't say and not be fired for it. Black people are wildly disrepresentation.
People say that to me all the time, and they just walk around like it doesn't mean anything around you.
Say what? Say the word.
The N-word. I'm not going to say it on this public platform, but people say it to me all the time.
It's derogatorily.
Yes.
No, I think you're lying.
Why would I be lying
So
about
you're
that?
trying to tell me at this campus, did you report it to student services?
I'm not. I have too much on my plate to.
So you're going to say at this campus, you're going to indict the moral character of Texas A&M.
I'm not indicting the moral character.
Yes, you are. You're saying that.
I'm indicting the moral character of one person or a few people.
Oh, well, now it's one. So you heard it all the time, and now it's one. Got it. So
it's not. Okay,
this is the point, is that I don't believe you, because now you resort back to a race hoax to make it seem as if the white kids on this campus are like racist and terrible.
Kids.
Oh, so was it a black guy that said it to you?
I'm not.
It matters a lot, because this is how lies are able to grow. Jussie Smollett, we see this. You have to challenge them.
Do you think I'm lying when I say that people say the N-word around here? And
if I think a white person comes up to you derogatorily and says, "Shut up, N-word," I absolutely.
I'm not saying they said it.
I said, are they saying it derogatorily?
But that doesn't mean it's word for word like that.
But okay, so then it's not an insult then. So then don't bring it up as if it's evidence of racism.
Because you brought the N-word up first. Well, I didn't.
No, I didn't.
No. You specifically said, name me an instance of the N-word.
I said black people can say things that white people can't say. Of course that's true.
But that's automatically implying that one word.
It's more than that. But let me just kind of build this out further.
What is it then?
There's a lot of things black people can say.
Explain it to me.
You want me to give you more examples of things?
Yes.
Black people are allowed to talk about black culture in a way that white culture cannot. For example, black people can go up and say that there's a baby mama problem in black America, and white people are not allowed to say that. Oops, I just did. So what do? Cancel me? Black people are allowed to say. I'm
a grown man. I got way
black people are allowed to say that there is a systemic fraud issue within the PP loan application of black America. Black people are much easier to be able to say that black individuals, despite being 13% of the American population, commit 55% of the murders. If most white people say that at a job, they would get fired for being a racist. I don't care because I say whatever I want. So black individuals have much more intellectual public freedom than white people do. If a white person were to come up and say, black America really needs to get its act together and stop sleeping around all the time and needs to actually have enough.
Why would you?
Because it's true. Because
why would you just walk up to someone and talk and attack their culture from the outside?
Well, hold on. Hold on. Let's look at the evidence. You said to myself, there's all these people suffering in Chicago. There's all these people that are terrible. I'm telling you why. It's because there's been bad decisions that have been institutionalized. Let me finish. And rap artists and athletes and people at the top level of black society that refuse to ever challenge the core rot in black America, which is that they are allowing degeneracy and hedonism to eat the soul of what once was a beautiful black culture. And instead they go around saying it's the boogeyman of racism, the white man is out to get you, and the result is black America is doing worse than it was in the 1960s. That is the contention, period.
It's not just, it's a culture. It's so much deeper than the present day we are in. I don't know why you're pretending like it just doesn't matter.
What is the low-hanging fruit? What is the Drew, what is the low-hanging fruit? Here's my thing where, at the end of the day, I do believe that there are issues in the black community, and white people isn't really the biggest of issues, in my opinion, right? There are problems and issues in the black community, and I don't believe white people are at the top of that at the top of that problem list, debating hapless kids that don't know what they're talking about. But here's the thing, right? You gotta think, kids grow up to be adults. Guess what? You learn more when you were a kid than you are as an adult. So these kids, you think about, oh, they're hapless kids, but this is the problem where at the end of the day, kids develop that mindset, right? Kids are sponge. They're sponge where, it's all these information because you got to think, let's say the boy, right, who killed Charlie Kirk, who assassinated Charlie, he was a kid himself. He was a college student. That's the thing. These are kids that are at the point where they develop they're the most spongiest in a sense, right? So it makes sense that you're talking, to kids. Or I wouldn't even call these kids because here's the thing. These, I guess, young adults, they're at the bridge to affect the world, right? They are the next generation. They are leading the world. They will be the ones to lead the world. What is the number one of these problems? You think white people are the number one problem? That's really, I think that's a sad. I think that's a sad mindset. But I mean, if you think so,
what doesn't matter? You mean things that happen? Again, I've been through this multiple times. Let me just ask you one.
You're not listening to understand.
No,
you're listening to reply.
No, I'm doing both actually, and so. But let me just ask one final question, right? Mm-hmm. Which is that you have your entire future ahead of you. Mm-hmm. When you are hired for a job, would you rather be hired because of your race or because of how qualified you are?
It doesn't boil down to just that.
That's what DEI is, man.
No, it's
yes,
not.
It is.
No,
it's
not.
Definitionally the hiring of people.
They're not just going to immediately see.
You get extra points if you're black with DEI. That's how it works. Racial quotas elevate people based on the color of their skin.
So do you think I got extra points to come here?
I don't know. You said you were qualified, but affirmative action was institutionalized in Harvard and in Texas and a lot of other places. We know this. So I again, TU, we don't like them, right? So, but again, I just want to I want to just repeat this point. Where can I go to work that you can?
It's not just that.
Exactly. There is nothing that is preventing black people from prospering. Nothing. The only thing is that you guys have been hypnotized to be victims of your own mind. To think
that is the most important thing I wanted to talk about, right? That's the most important thing I want to really stop lying and read what I wrote. I read what you wrote. I mean, I read what you wrote. I don't know what you want me to read particularly. That's okay. But that's the one thing I want to write. It's the mindset. It's the mindset I think the mindset, in my honest opinion, is the number one problem in the black community. Mindset is the number one problem in the black community, right? Where you're thinking, oh, someone else is stopping me from succeeding, right? Someone else is stopping me from succeeding. Someone else is holding me back, or my past is stopping me from succeeding. My past is stopping me from, is holding me back. I think that's the number one problem in the black community, in my opinion. So, but I mean, whether you agree or not, it is what it is. I understand that if you guys have different views, but let's say this, right? If white people or the current issues that black people believe they're facing is the actual problems. You said there were always these problems in the community. I want one. Oh, what? Well, one of the problems, I said it, right? One of the problems in the black community is mindset. I think that's the number one problem. Mindset, criminality, lack of morality, fatherless homes. Those are plenty of problems in the black community that's bigger than the white man, right? What? Fatherless homes, that's a fact. Fatherless homes is a fact. Criminality is a fact. High level of criminal activity is a fact. That's a fact. You could Google it. It's a high rate of criminal activity in the black community. That is a problem that they're facing. Lack of morality, right? Lack of morality. That is a problem in the black community. High level of fatherless homes. There are more black women with children than there are black men with children, right? There are more black women with children than there are black men with children. There's a baby mama epidemic in the black community. The black community is being led by single mothers, not men. That is the problem. A scary moment in Key West was when I had a black client who had whiskey. You're crazy. You're crazy. The majority of black fathers are. Did I say again? See, that's the thing where the majority of black fathers. That's not what I said, right? Right? Because you're like there. I mean, I could agree with the stats where black fathers are the most active fathers out of all ethnic groups. I agree, right? But that's not the same thing, right? I just gave you a statistical fact. It's not tropes. You know the stats, so those are the problems within the black community. So we're not having majority of men leading the black community. We have the majority of single mothers leading the community, right? That is one, which led to a lack of moralities. We're getting more emotional young men growing up. So those are things. Yeah, I don't disagree. Single black fathers or black fathers in the family they're doing their job. But again, that's not enough. They're being outnumbered. That is a statistical fact. They're being outnumbered. Majority of black women have kids, or there's a larger amount of black women having kids than there are larger than the amount of black men. So yeah. Why would see this is a thing where you want me what I said is statistical fact. You want me to give you actual numbers? You could Google it. So what I'm giving you is actual statistical fact. Whether you believe it or not, that's up to you. Okay? But what I'm saying is actual statistical fact. It's not throwing out claims. It is statistical fact. I've Googled it plenty of times. And so can you, right? So I don't need to go through the extra effort and Google it for you. So whether you believe me or not, that's up to you. I'm not here to change your mind. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm not looking to change people's minds. So whether you believe me or not, it's up to you. It doesn't really make me feel better, right? Or do anything for me if I could change your mind or not. Because most people are not really that open-minded. So it is what it is. But what do you guys think? I was a trooper and had the mindset that the customer was always right. Whiskey, you are crazy. Thank you, my man. No, that's not what I said. I didn't say one woman can have multiple kids. I said there's more women, right? More black women that have kids than black men that have kids. Why is that? Well, guess what? Women are having kids by the same men. That is the stats, right? A lot of women are having kids by the same men. So a lot of these women are sharing the same baby daddy. If you know these stats, then why are you telling me to give it to you? I don't know what you're trying to do. I don't even know men. I don't even know man. I don't even know anymore. Hey, everyone. Thank you for stopping by. Laughing Man, I love you, my brother. Whiskey, you are amazing. Thank you. Evo Eddie. Thank you for stopping by. Meditation Clips. Thank you, my brother. For stopping by. Jennifer Lawrence. That's not every group, right? You're making me. Okay, in 2023, near 47% of Black mothers were single mothers, and I'm googling it for you. Okay, since you can't do it yourself, in 2023, 47% of Black mothers were single mothers. In 2023, 14% of white mothers are single mothers. Learn to Google it yourself. All right. I mean, seriously. Evil Eddie. Let's see who else. Totally awesome. Thank you for stopping by, my brother. Oh, did I say Jennifer? Thank you. Thank you for stopping by. I think Laughing Man, my brother. Thank you. Thank you for stopping by. I think Big Bars was here too. Author. Thank you. Thank you, my brother. Thank you for stopping by. Anyone else? Meathead. Thank you, my brother. Thank you for stopping by. Let's see. Anyone else? I think that's it. You guys are amazing. I love you guys. Have a good night. My brothers. You guys are amazing, right? I hope you guys will have a good week. All right. See you guys in the next live. Love you guys. I love you guys. My brothers, I'll miss you.